Hi, it's been some time since I've made any sort of a video. I've got two things on my long-term bench. Both of them are printed. One of them, as I say, is particularly long-term. That's this thing. You may or may not recognise it. This is an industrial Garratt in 4mm. You may or may not know I've got one in 7mm, and very nice it is too. It's based on a Mercian kit, my 7mm one, but I thought I'd draw one up in 3D for the sake of it and see what I could do as far as printing's concerned. So this is a printed thing. Haven't got much further than the central boiler unit at the moment, but it's come out pretty well. Done some cylinders. I'm in the middle of drawing up the tanks at the moment. I'm not going to rush this. Predictably, one of the things that will be slowing me down will be doing 4 sets of valve gear, which is never very much fun. But it is a practical proposition, but it would be rather nice. Years ago I would have liked to have bought one of the kits that was available. I can't quite remember who produced them. I've got it into my head it might have been Backwards or something like that. Don't know. But anyway, they're not available anymore. So when something's not available, the only thing you can do is make it yourself. So this is a 4mm printed thing, and of course I've got some of the original factory drawings, so one's able to do it somewhat more accurately than the kit that was available apparently was. So that's looking quite nice thus far. Quite pleased with that. The other thing, 16mm scale. Now this is a Decauville. The older people may remember the Joval Decauville that was for many years or one of the few 009 locos one could buy. And indeed the Joval Decauville was my very first loco, and of course one has a certain affection for it, so I thought I'd make one in 16mm. Now mixed media kit, I think one would describe this. This is again a printed boiler and fittings, and you can see boilers hollowed out. This will have ultrasonic mister unit for steam, and in fact the ultrasonic unit, I'm going to use a slightly different one. This new type has recently come on the market. It's slightly narrower than the other ones. Now, I don't need it narrower, but I'm going to just try it out. I think it's going to be equally as good, but of course there may be other locos where having a narrower one would be quite useful, particularly for 7mm standard gauge locos, or heaven preserve us, even perhaps 00 locos. It's also lower in profile than the other ones, so it would certainly fit in a much more compact space. It did need a teeny bit of hot wiring. You can't, whoops, as I'm banging the camera, you can't really see, but I've just soldered a link in between those two connections there, and that, if you like, locks it onto the constant steam function. for us, but otherwise it's bog standard. So that's a new Mr. unit available on eBay that I shall be fitting to. Fitting to this thing. Now, this is a soft soldered nickel silver thing. Holes in the tanks, in the sides of the tanks there, because there'll be a battery in each of the tanks, and the power lead will be coming out of the tanks in these holes there, which you can't really see, and then into the firebox, one on each side there. And of course I need a loose cover on the tanks to actually get the batteries in the first place, and it will only be running off one battery at a time, and there'll be a changeover switch when one battery's tired, and one can just change over to the second switch. And this should have a duration of hopefully about 12 hours using steam on that. So that'll be quite a cute little engine when it's done. I'm also at the same time drawing the thing up fully in 3D with a view to seeing if tanks and things are printable in a small scale, but that's significantly less important. Drawing it up in 3D also helps the iteration process of working out what's going where. There's lots and lots of drawings of these things online. Most of them really aren't terribly accurate. I found, or someone very kindly found one for me that was fairly accurate, not completely accurate, but that in conjunction with lots and lots of photos enables one to find out actually what does go where and what stops where and starts where, and so hopefully this will be a fairly accurate model, which should be quite nice, and it'll join the tattoo and the Hunslet on Nettlebed line. So gently looking forward to that, and meanwhile it's all good therapy. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. A little bit of loco building in both scales, and that keeps me off the streets. So hope that's of mild interest.